Hi, Year 11. I am going to talk through a little bit more of the work health and safety booklet that is in your hospitality folder on Drive. So you all have that booklet. I'll show you an example of, finding it. So if I go on, here we'll go on Isabella, for example, I can see this is what I can see from your work. So I can find in all of your folders, this is your hospitality folder on Drive. I can find the work health and safety booklet. It looks like this when you open it, and you will need to scroll down to wherever you're up to. Now, like I've said before, depending on how much room it took when you were filling out things, your page numbers will have changed. So I can't tell you what page number you need to be on. All I can tell you, oh, that's by the way, that's Jess's brekkie that she made, so well done, Jess. That was a prac activity. I can't tell you exactly where you need to go on in terms of a page number. I will just have to tell you the heading to find. So you need to scroll through your booklet until you get to the heading Unit 2, Health and Safety Practices and Procedures. So scroll until you find it. Now on this booklet, it happens to be page 22, but it may not be everyone's page 22. So you need to find Unit 2, Health and Safety Practices and Procedures. Now, the last thing that you would have done in this booklet was all about the Work Health and Safety Act. If you will remember that when you were looking at the Work Health and Safety Act, and I sent you a couple of YouTube videos that explains it really well, you should now know that the Work Health and Safety Act is a legislation, so it's an actual law, and it has specific things that the PCBU or the employer, PCBU is persons conducting a business or undertaking, so that's the employer, the person that runs the business. So there's things that they must do under the legislation, under the law. They are required by law to do these things: provide a safe work environment for their staff, eliminate workplace risks, ensure the workers are trained, provide training, induction and supervision, etc., etc. And then there's also things that under the law that the actual worker or the employee must do. They must take responsibility for their own health and safety. They have to wear PPE if it's provided for them. They have to, report issues of health and safety that they might see in the workplace. They can't just, think, oh, that someone's clearly spilt some oil. Oh, well, not my problem. It is your problem. If you're the one that sees it, you're required to report on that. And that comes under work health and safety consultation. And that's a little bit, and that's actually one of the codes of practice. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So you've already looked at the Work Health and Safety Act, so that's the actual law. So this tells you why you have to do things. It's the actual law that tells you why all these things are required. And then, so it says that's the law. And then there's the Work Health and Safety Regulation. So the regulation usually comes out a year after, or sometimes the same year as the law. And these are the rules. So these are, not just why or what you have to do, but it's actually how. It's how to actually physically implement those laws or those rules in your business. So it kind of gives more detail of how to practically come up with procedures, how to actually, design procedures for your specific business. Then you have codes of practice, the Work Health and Safety Codes of Practice. Now, the codes of practice are very specific documents, and this here shows you which are the 5 specific documents that are codes of practice that relate to the hospitality industry. So remember, work health and safety relates to every single industry that happens to be a place of employment. It's not just hospitality, it's any workplace. So what they've done is what we have done for you is group 5 of them, that out of all the different codes of practice, these are the 5 codes of practice documents that would apply to working in a hospitality venue. So one of them is the code of practice for WHS consultation. So what is consultation? When you think about it, well, what does it mean to consult someone? To consult someone means to talk, to tell someone something. So there is an actual document, the Work Health and Safety Consultation Code of Practice, and that tells you basically as step-by-step instructions how, as a business, to set up a consultation system. So that might be if you're a small business and, like a cafe, and you might have less than 20 employees, you might have a work health and safety representative. And the work health and safety representative is the one person in the business, it's often a supervisor or something like that, or a manager, that if you as a worker notice a hazard, notice something that's broken, notice something that looks dangerous, notice that something really heavy's been put on a high shelf, and if someone climbed a ladder and tried to get it down, they would probably fall and hurt themselves, that's a hazard. Then you as the worker need to report that in a consultation process with the representative. So different businesses would have different structures, but that's this document, the code of practice for work health and safety consultation. The code of practice is what tells you how as a business you can set up that. So it might be that there's a form to fill out. It might be that there's a fortnightly or a monthly meeting or something where you can voice those concerns to the representative. So different businesses would have different systems, but basically the code of practice document for WHS consultation explains, and it says, I can show you here, it explains support and guidance, how to physically set that up in your business. Now, the big one is definitely the manual handling one, because in the hospitality industry, we do a lot of lifting and carrying. Even when we're cooking, sometimes we might have a massive stock pot. Remember when we did minestrone soup and we had a big stock pot? Depending on how big the restaurant is, you might have a huge stock pot full of liquid, and that's kilos and kilos heavy. So that would be a definite hazard for manual handling, not only because if you spill it, it's probably boiling hot and you'll get burns all over you, but also the physical strain of lifting that if you don't lift it the correct way, and you could actually have a back injury as well. So there's a lot of risks there. So for any kind of lifting, and as well as storing boxes in the storeroom, all these sorts of things, there is the code of practice for manual handling, which explains specific instructions for what the rules are with manual handling in a business, and therefore then you can create specific procedures that will relate to your business, that relate to your cafe, your restaurant, so that every single worker understands how to properly lift the specific things they might have to lift in your particular restaurant or hotel or wherever. There's also one for risk management. This is a very important one for hospitality: storage and handling of dangerous goods or hazardous goods. So that could be chemicals and things like that. There's all these specific codes of practice rules for chemicals, such as they have to be away from food preparation areas. They have to be in a separate cupboard. They have to be properly labeled with what they are. They can't be put into a different type of container. If you have bleach, and let's say you lost the lid of your bleach and you thought, oh, let's just put the bleach in a milk bottle. No. So Mrs. Kennedy knows this story better, but it was quite a few years back, but it was a local situation, and I'm pretty sure it was a father that he did that. Something happened, he lost the lid. I'm pretty sure it was bleach, and there was like a spare milk bottle in the recycling, and he put the rest of the bleach into the milk bottle. And his son or something was a teenager. He came home from a night out pretty drunk or something like that, and he actually saw the bleach and saw the milk bottle and was like, sweet, and he went and sculled what he thought was some milk because he was thirsty. Unfortunately, that was bleach, and that child or that teenager died. And that father, even though he did not mean to kill his son, that father had to go to jail because he was convicted of manslaughter, which means when a person dies because of something you did, even if you didn't mean to do it. So he didn't mean to kill his son, but he is the one that put the bleach in the milk bottle, and you're not allowed to store chemicals, dangerous chemicals, in a food container because that's misleading. So it's really important in a hospitality situation when you're preparing food for other people that all of your dangerous chemicals and stuff are definitely kept in their correct bottles with all the correct labeling and all the correct safety warnings on the labeling, including how to dilute it if you need to. And then there's also needs to be a safety data sheet, an SDS, which is a folder that has a special safety sheet for every single chemical that exists in your business, and it tells you exactly what to do if there's a chemical hazard that occurs. Whereas if someone puts it on their skin accidentally, or if someone swallows it accidentally or gets it in their eyes accidentally, it tells you specifically what to do, whether that means to call the poisons hotline or to go directly to hospital or to just run it under cold water. It tells you specifically what to do. So that's why it's a code of practice. It's an actual specific document with the real rules. It's not just, guidelines. It's guidance, but it's a step-by-step document. And yeah, that includes also labeling of substances, which I just talked about. So that's the SDS. So the codes of practice are documents that support the act. They make sure that that the workplace is able to follow the act, follow the law, with specific instructions for the things that relate to their type of business. So I'm going to go back to the workbook now, and so what you'll notice is that you will scroll through this and you're going to read some of these things, and it's going to relate very much to what I just talked about. The main safe work practices you should know about: manual handling, ergonomically lifting things, etc. Hazardous equipment, hazardous substances. So this is all stuff I just talked about. So you'll read through this and so you can understand it. Each workplace has its own set of procedures which describe how every person must do their work tasks. These procedures include relevant safe work practices, blah, blah, blah. So when you go through, you'll see the first one here is all about correct manual handling. And I just told you that there's an actual code of practice for manual handling. This summarizes that code of practice for you. We've put it as a summary in the booklet so that you don't have to look it up yourself. It tells you all the rules. It includes pushing, lifting, pulling, lowering, blah, 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 blah. Think about your work activities. So this is what you have to do now. Think about your work activities. When do you do manual handling? So when in the hospitality industry or on the commercial kitchen, might you have to do manual handling and lifting and carrying and pushing and holding and blah, blah, blah. So lowering and stuff. So you need to list some there. Then these, from the code of practice, these are the guidelines I was talking about. So these are the things that they tell you. So assess the load. How heavy is it? How low is it? So these are not questions that you have to answer. These are things in the code of practice that is asking the business to think about. Do you need help? Do we need a team? And if they do, then the employer would write the rule that when you lift a crate of milk, that is not allowed to be done without 2 people. So they'd come up with a specific safe work practice that relates to their particular business. Anyway, so yeah, so you can read through these. These are all in the code of practice. And then you've got posture, and you just keep reading, and every now and then you'll see a question. So after you read, you'll see there's an activity. Which hospitality tasks involve movements like sitting, stretching, pushing, pulling, and bending? Okay, so and then there's some examples, and then you keep scrolling. This one's about getting tired. What are some hospitality tasks where you might need to take breaks or rotate tasks? So you need to give an example there, and then you keep scrolling. This one's about using equipment safely, actual knives and deep fryers and graters and meat slicers and combi ovens. What electrical equipment might you use or handle in your hospitality work? What other dangerous equipment might you handle in your hospitality work? So there's some questions there. Then we come to number 5, safe handling of hazardous substances. Breathing in fumes, getting them on your skin, getting them in your eyes, etc. Again, it talks about safety data sheets. So you'll need to know what a safety data sheet is. That's the binder I was telling you about. And then there'll be some questions on that. What types of cleaning chemicals or poisons might you have in the in the hospitality room, sorry, and then you'll come to safety instructions. Okay, so safety instructions is number 6, and I want you to stop there, and we'll do that separately. So please email me if you have any questions about that section, but that is basically your weekly work for work health and safety that I'd like you to do. And good luck. Thank you. Bye.